Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. I'm Carrie Hawker Diaz.
And I'm Kami Stroop.
And I'm David Osmond. Nice to be with you guys.
Apparently, I've been smoking for 20 years. Did you hear Diaz?
Hey, how's it going?
It's sexy, baby.
Yeah, hello.
Is that your side hustle? We're about to jump into
It could
this.
be my side hustle. Absolutely.
You're a voice actor is what you are. You
Yes.
can go
I can
both
really get
spectrums of
nitty
any-
and gritty in there.
I'm an old lady.
Okay, so in this episode, we're diving into the world of side hustles, like Kami said, and financial empowerment. So did you guys know that 36 of U.S. adults have a side hustle? Do you believe that? Yes, I kind of do.
I think you kind of have to.
Have
these
you been
days.
to the grocery store? Eggs
Oatmeal and
milk?
bananas and grapes.
Have
They're
you
all
bought
up.
eggs in the last
The side
little
hustle
bit?
is I'm a chicken farmer. That's
Yeah.
what it should be.
Yeah, everybody. Have you seen that meme? Like people who own chickens right now are just like royalty.
Yes.
Seriously.
Used to give away eggs for by the dozen just for free. Will you
Yeah.
please take these off my hands now? You can just
You can just keep them.
that'll be $50.
Save thousands of dollars by keeping your own eggs. Okay. Do you guys have side hustles? Is there anything you thought to do or make extra money? Because like we all need it now, right?
I grew up in showbiz, so yes, because when the curtain's down, you're unemployed immediately. So I think there's side hustles. I think that's been the story of my life, just all over the place, just diversified and nothing too crazy or outlandish, but just constant, just different streams, multiple streams of income.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think as talent, like you have different, I mean, as a freelancer growing up, like in this industry, and so you just do different things. But I always joke with my mom, this is really funny because she's, you have like your mom you go to and you want to like give advice. She's amazing. She's so compassionate and wonderful. So her and I have always joked about getting a billboard and just being like, 1-800 call us for advice. That might work, right? Some
You
people
never
just
know.
want to talk, but they don't necessarily need a therapist. They just want a friend.
They just want to talk and
This
like
might be
get
the
something off their chest.
There you go. That might be my new side hustle of 2025.
Small
you know,
print, $39.95 a minute.
If you see Kami's billboard coming up, you'll know. You'll know to
Call me.
call.
I'm here to help.
Yeah, I've done the same. I have freelancing. My husband, our daughter, and I are all signed with the same talent agency, so we do stuff outside of this job. But it's crazy how much we are needing this right now. I interviewed Joseph Woodbury. He's the CEO and founder of Neighbor. This concept is so interesting, you guys. Speaking of side hustles, should we just dive in?
Let's do it.
Hear it.
I'm so excited to be chatting with Joseph Woodbury today. Joseph, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are so excited to chat with you. Okay, can you start by sharing the story behind Neighbor and how you came up with the idea? By the way, it's an amazing idea.
Yeah, so Neighbor's a peer-to-peer marketplace where you can rent out your garage or your driveway or your shed for storage. We really came up with the idea from just having the pain point ourselves. My co-founder, when he first came up with the idea, he had just gotten married. He needed a place to store his items, and he looked into getting a storage unit and just couldn't find anything in his area that was available or that was cheap enough for him.
That wasn't outrageously priced, right?
Exactly. So he called around to some friends and found a friend that was willing to let him store in his garage. Fast forward 4 months later, he gets back, he goes to pick his items up, and he just thinks to himself, this was such a better experience. I felt so much more peace of mind with my items in a nice, clean garage in a neighborhood I trusted. Plus, I saved a ton of money. There's got to be empty space in every neighborhood in the country. Why hasn't someone created a platform or a directory where you could look up what's available right next door?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and Neighbor is often described as the Airbnb of parking and storage. How does it work, like in detail, and what sets it apart from traditional storage solutions?
Yeah, so in a traditional storage facility, you're going to go down, you're going to rent a box. These are often built on the outskirts of town, so they're zoned industrial. They have very high break-in rates. I think 1 in 10 storage facilities is broken into
I didn't
every
even
year.
think about that. Yeah, okay.
So Neighbor's different in that you're renting close to you. I mean, that's what people want. You want to use the items that you're storing. Mm-hmm. Ideally, you'd have them in your house. The next best solution is having them right next door. And then instead of paying some big storage corporation, you're paying your neighbor who's earning material passive income that's helping, pay for things in their life. And so it's just kind of a win-win relationship for everyone.
Okay, so when someone downloads the app, and how does it work? How does it go from there?
Yeah, so if you're looking to list a space you have, you're going to go through a process to create your listing. It takes about 10 minutes. We'll ask you a series of questions. Where's the space located? How big is it? What features does it have? Does it have security cameras? Is it enclosed? Is it outside? And then we'll actually send you through a verification process. Every single space published on our site, the host is ID verified. It's reviewed by a person before it's published. Within 24 hours of submitting your listing, it'll get published live, and that's where we take over. We do the work of pricing your space, finding you a renter, all the hard stuff.
Yeah, so it's a total side hustle. This is amazing. Okay, I just want to ask you, like off the top of your head, what can someone make possibly by renting out, let's say, their garage? And I know all garages are different sizes, but like what can you make per month?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different types of what we call hosts on our platform. These are people renting space. Someone renting out a driveway, I rent out my driveway, is going to earn somewhere between $1,000 to $3,000 a year.
Driveway. I didn't even think, okay.
Yeah, my neighbor's RV is parked at my driveway. They don't have space. I do have space.
And how much a month is it? Do you make?
I make about $100 a month in Lehigh.
Awesome.
Now, we have hosts that get really into this. We've got a host named Deb. She lives in South Jordan. She's got about an acre lot. She's making $15,000, $20,000 a year.
What?
On neighbor. Yeah. We've got a guy in Lehigh, a guy named Jake. He's got an even larger property. He's basically turned this into a business depending on his occupancy during the kind of seasonal types of the year.
Yeah.
He makes somewhere between $30,000 to $40,000 a year on Neighbor's platform. Wow. So sky's the limit.
I mean, that's so smart, though, because you think if somebody lives in like a condo or a townhouse or something and they don't have the space to park their RV, but they don't want to drive across town to go pick it up, when they can have it at a neighbor's house when it's like 3 minutes away in their driveway. That's so smart. And Joseph, side hustles, speaking of this, are on the rise, especially among like younger generations. Why do you think side hustles have become such a vital part of our economy today?
Yeah, I think this has been enabled by the internet. This just didn't exist, and especially by mobile apps, having a phone in your pocket, a computer in your pocket, has made people realize I have things that I can do. I have assets that other people want.
Yeah.
There is now a system that lets those two come together. You look at DoorDash, you look at Uber, you look at Airbnb. Now, one of the things that's different about Neighbor is up until this point, a lot of side hustles have required a lot of work. If you're driving for Uber, you're working. If you're driving for DoorDash, you're working. They're a job. And that's great. And you can earn a lot of income.
But that's your time.
That's your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you could be spending that time doing something else. So a true side hustle is something where you're able to monetize it without doing any work. And my driveway, my neighbor's RV sits on my driveway all month. I do nothing, but I get a direct deposit in my bank account every single month.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Can people do like weekly rentals, or is it monthly, or how does that work?
It's all month to month.
Month to month. That makes sense. Okay, it makes it easier. What advice would you give to someone looking to identify the best side hustle for like their lifestyle and their resource? If they're thinking, you know what, I need some extra cash, what advice would you have for someone?
Well, first, I'd identify how much cash are you looking to make, because if you can go all in and become an investor and purchase a lot of Airbnbs and eventually get that going with a kind of an operating business, it's going to take a lot of capital up front to start, but you can get to the point where you're making millions of dollars a year if you have a large enough portfolio on Airbnb.
Okay.
Or are you looking to fill some time? Some people drive for Uber not only to earn a little extra cash, but I'll get in an Uber and I'll talk to someone and they're like, I'm a neurosurgeon. And I'm like, why are you doing this? And they're like, I like to meet people. This is important to me, just from an individual emotional standpoint, a social standpoint.
Yeah.
And it just kind of kills the time for me. It's like a good pastime. I listen to a podcast while I'm driving people. I talk to some people. And so what are your interests? And make sure your side hustle fits into your life and what you want to do and not the other way around.
That makes sense. Kind of figure out, what are you looking to make? Thousands, extra each month, which is going to be a lot of investment and a lot of time, or a couple $100 extra every month, putting not a lot of time into it with Neighbor like that. Okay, you've mentioned Utahns earning thousands of dollars a year by renting out unused spaces. Can you share any specific success stories from any areas other than the one that you mentioned, like with you keeping the RV on your lot, which is so cool? Yeah,
so I mentioned, Deb and Jake, who we would consider power hosts, right? They get really into it, $15,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. Some people start on one end and move to the other. We had a host in Hawaii by the name of Rose, who started out small. She started out earning, a few $1,000s a year, and got really interested in it and just kept adding space. She's actually purchased space for a neighbor.
Wow.
Now she's earning $120,000 a year, running essentially a lot where she stores Turo fleets. If you're familiar with Turo, that's another peer-to-peer sharing economy platform.
Yeah.
Which I also use to rent out my car. Highly recommend. Rent out your car. It'll pay for your mechanic expenses every year.
Look at these. I love that you're on this show. I mean, this is amazing. You're giving us all the tips. This is great, Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what the sharing economy is doing, is it's really unlocking people to monetize every aspect of their life if they want to. And it turns out that buying a house is not perfect. You kind of have to buy what's available, and you end up with this mismatched, inefficient system where some people have an RV pad that don't need an RV pad.
True.
And some people end up in a house where it fit their affordability, but it doesn't have the space that they need. Mm-hmm. And instead of, cluttering up everything and building more and more and more, some stats for you. The self-storage industry spends $4 to $5 billion a year just on new construction.
Wow.
We've now built more storage facilities in the United States than we have McDonald's, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King's, Wendy's, Walmart's, Home Depot's, and Costco's combined.
People like their stuff.
And it's like, why don't we just use the space that's already sitting empty and let people earn money on that instead of just build.
Sure. What are most people storing?
Yeah, so it depends on the space type again. In those outdoor spaces, the recreational vehicles are going to be
boats.
Exactly. Boats, RVs, actually camper trailers and utility trailers are one of the most popular items for those exterior spaces. On interior spaces, could be a garage where it's still parking. Where you're often going to get the vehicles stored there. Where someone needs to store a car, we actually do a lot of classic car storage.
Cool.
So you have someone store their 67 Corvette or something like that. They want to be able to drive it. They don't want it in some storage facility. They actually would prefer to have it at their neighbor's house. We have people use Neighbor in very high-scale neighborhoods where someone built, they've got a $10 million house and they've got this this exterior garage that's not even part of the house, and it's got like 3 car stalls, and they'll rent that out to their other rich neighbors to store
their cars.
And it's really cool. So you see this everything from just someone earning a little extra cash all the way up to these kind of luxury neighborhoods. And then those interior spaces, the predominant item is going to be furniture.
Okay.
In a shed or in a bedroom or an unfinished basement. We have people list those as well.
Where if like a family's planning on moving eventually, they want to keep a set of furniture. They don't want to get rid of it. But they need somewhere to put it for now.
Exactly. It's those larger items. Typically with smaller items, you can often find a place to put those or just get rid of them.
Yeah.
But with the furniture, it's an item you might want to hang on to. It has value. And so you look to store that.
Okay. Are you typically going to save money, Joseph? Like if you're going to use Neighbor to store your RV on somebody's lot instead of like at a commercial lot that's 45 minutes away, is it pretty comparable, or do you save a little money?
Yeah, so our storage tends to be about 30 to 50% cheaper than a traditional self-storage option. So we like to say it's cheaper, it's closer, and it's safer.
Yeah.
Which basically the three things you're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, if someone's thinking, I'd love to do this, we're in this like side gig economy, but they're not very tech savvy. You have to use your phone. Is it pretty easy to like get your deposits and kind of figure out the app?
Yeah, technology's come a long way here. 10 years ago, this used to be more difficult, but the way payment processors have come, you can, in 15 minutes, you can be through this, you can create this listing. The ID verification takes place all on your phone. So you'll take a picture of your ID, it'll ask you for a selfie, and you're done in about 2 minutes. When you need to get paid out, we use Stripe. That's the same payment processor that Amazon uses and Airbnb and Lyft. So they have a very quick flow where you can link your bank account. You've probably used Stripe before in your life and done something like this already. So, it's probably 4 or 5 clicks to have your bank account linked. And then you don't have to do anything.
It just directly every month goes into your account.
Every single month.
Awesome.
And, when a renter looks to move in, we're going to have them fill out a list of everything they'd like to store. you get to see that list and you can approve or reject that. So you're in full control of your space. And once you press approve, they come move in, and then we handle everything from there.
And then you make that money.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, with the economy being a top concern for many and how hard it is to afford things, how do you see Neighbor contributing to financial stability for individuals and families?
Well, I think the storage industry in general comes into play here. Why do we need so much storage? Why is storage growing at the rate that it's growing? It's grown faster than every other real estate category over the last 40 years. Storage has faster than office, faster than multifamily, faster than retail. Storage is growing faster. So why is that? Well, one is that storage is a newer concept. So, the first storage facilities were rolled out in the late 50s, early 60s. So millennials are kind of that second generation. Their parents used it, so they're comfortable with it. But the other driving factor is this affordable housing crisis. It used to just exist in coastal markets, but now you're seeing an affordable housing crisis in cities like Salt Lake City, Milwaukee, Austin, these interior cities. And when you can't afford a home big enough for your family and your belongings, you get a home big enough for your family and you store your belongings in a place that's a cheaper cost per square foot.
Right.
That's what you do to basically manage the situation. And so Neighbor fights that problem in two ways. One, we save the renter. This isn't like saving 10% on your Amazon cart. This is $2,000 to $3,000 a year for the average renter switching from a storage facility to Neighbor. They're going to save $2,000 to $3,000 a year. On the flip side, the average Neighbor host is going to earn $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And the stories that come out of that are so amazing. We had a guy write us in a couple months ago where he said, my wife and I wanted to send our daughter to preschool, but it was going to be about $300 a month. And we just decided that wasn't in the budget. We'll just wait until kindergarten when it's free. And then he said, I saw a Facebook ad the next day for neighbor.com. I was curious. I listed my garage, and Neighbor said, you'll earn $300 a month. And he said, I got booked. I'm earning $300 a month. We sent our daughter to preschool. Neighbor pays for my daughter's preschool. So it can be those little things where it comes in and helps out just on the margin. Like 56% of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency.
It's crazy out there.
Yeah.
This is such an amazing option. And now that story you just told, now she can go to preschool.
Right.
That's really fantastic. And not a lot of work for the parents to have to, once you get on there, list everything, not a lot of work. That's phenomenal. For anyone considering joining Neighbor as a host, what's one thing you'd want them to know? Is there anything else that you would want to tell them?
Well, in addition to providing those things, in addition to the preschool, some people just use this for fun stuff. Like we have people create a bank account that's a separate bank account, and they call it their vacation bank account.
Awesome.
And Neighbor's the only thing that goes into that. And
Yeah.
every time the bank account hits $2,000, they cash it out, go on a vacation, and then Neighbor reloads it again.
Okay, that's so fun.
Right. But the thing I'd want people to know is that this isn't just a way to make money. Unlike other sharing economy platforms that their distance is a factor. I stay in an Airbnb, but I'm probably never going to talk to that Airbnb host again. I take an Uber in Chicago, but I'm probably never going to talk to my Uber driver again. Neighbor is the first hyper-local marketplace. And so you're not only making money, you're also providing a service to your neighbors. And there's fun stories that come out of that too. We've had individuals who have been neighbors for 5 years, and they email us and they're like, I've never said more than hi to my neighbor. I waved to them.
I didn't even know they were there.
And then they booked my space and they came over and I helped them carry their stuff in, and we got to talking. We realized we have a lot in common. We have people, they go to lunch every Thursday now. They've just formed that community connection, and we need more of that, right? We need more people getting outside of their shell. I think we're losing our nuclear communities. And if you just meet people, you realize, they're a Republican, I'm a Democrat, or vice versa. And it turns out we don't hate each other. We have similar interests. We live close to each other. And so joining Neighbor can not only be a way to make money, but it can also be a way to get out in your community and meet people.
Sure. Yeah. Well, after COVID, we've become so disconnected that we're not talking and we're not, meeting and interacting. So I think you've helped solve that, where we can save a little money, make a little money, and also like feel connected.
That's why it's called Neighbor.
Yeah, that's good. You're doing good, Joseph. Okay, if listeners want to learn more about Neighbor or get started with renting out their unused spaces, making that extra cash, where can we go for more information?
We tried to make that easy too. It's just neighbor.com. You go there, you can click list a space, or you can type in your address and start searching for storage. We also have a mobile app. If you type storage or boat storage or RV storage, we should be the first result. The app's just called Neighbor. You can download it and be booked in 5 minutes.
Amazing. Joseph, solving the world's problems one day at a time. You're awesome. Thanks for being on. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.